I got a lot of news, a lot of detailed news from our reporters, Mike and Gary. So let's start this off.
I like
From
I like referencing just Mike and Gary, no last names, but Mike and Gary.
Mike and Gary helping us out. So anyway, let's talk about some Raw. I don't know if you saw it, but John Cena once again and Roman Reigns had a pretty all-out promo war with mostly Cena getting the better of Reigns, saying things such as "I'm like a drug test. Drug test. You ain't getting past me." There's been a lot of. I want to get your opinion on this. Where is the line for cutting promos, and do you think that crossed the line for what they're doing?
Absolutely not. I think that's great. And I mean, obviously Roman would get past him. It would just take 31 days. Can we? I love just you laughing after that. That's it. You're the only one. Everybody else is like, what? 31 days?
Well, to go with that, I saw that, it's weird because I read this article today by Alfred Kanua, who wrote on Forbes. It wasn't really one of these, Sportskeeda or Sportster websites. It's
Okay.
Forbes.com. And he had an interesting take on how WWE is alienating their audience. And it wasn't a trash piece. He had facts and different, a way of positioning, saying, hey, I just think they're making a lot of mistakes. And he wrote this, and I'm quoting him, and it says, Cena has been positioned to zero in on Roman Reigns' flaws as WWE takes on an interesting approach of accentuating the negatives of its biggest full-time star in order to make Cena the hipper top star in their ongoing feud.
Yeah.
At 40 years old, Cena has become that dad who would rather be his son's best friend.
I agree with that in a lot of ways. I can give one thing that I could tell from my experience with my program with Cena, and which we had some promos back and forth from which I didn't talk about. I actually saw the WWE writers this week because I went and saw after SmackDown Ziggler and Rusev and a bunch of the guys, some of the other workers there, and had dinner with them. And
Got a lot of things on Ziggler coming up too.
okay. And but I saw the writers and then went over and said hello to them, and hadn't seen them in a while, and they're all good guys. But I remember during my thing with Cena, I had ideas because he was taking shots at me, calling me like caveman, just typical Cena, what he does in promos. Like he did the same thing with Roman. Don't think it's not your strong point, that sort of thing. Same thing. He had those lines in there with me, and they said, no, you can't say that to John. You can't say that to John. You can't say that to John. And they literally did it where it's just him one-upping you by design, and that's the way it is. And that's not talking bad about John or anything. That is the truth of the situation, and that just reminded me of that a little bit. Where if that was all by design, that's the same formula they've used with him for years. So
that's interesting.
I've lived it, and it's the truth. That's not me, that's not bashing or anything like that. That's the truth as far as my experience being in that role, on the other end of John. So